Okay, so we're almost done here. What I've got so far is now I have a fluid website, so no matter how much stuff I add in the main area, it will now stretch down. The last thing that I want to talk about is the navigation points, these images, which if I jump back to Photoshop, um, you'll remember I have three slices. I slice these navigation objects out. Now, something I did when I built this, and this is, of course, how much you know Photoshop, how much you want to play for this, or play with this, is the things you can do, special effects, and so forth like that. And for each of these buttons, I created a level effect, or a layer effect, I'm sorry. And if you take a look at this, I'll say gallery, for instance. If I turn the effect off, it's just the flat solid color there. But if I turn the effect on, which is a bevel and emboss, then you'll see it looks like I have a button look, and that's how I was able to create that. Now, what I have here, if I turn the eye off and on, are two separate states. And so I'm going to save out these three slices separately because what I'm going to end up doing with these are rollovers. And the reason I'm including that in the layout lectures is because I can use the slices that I created to take this next step. Now, what this is going to generate are two different images for each button. So I'll have 6 images in all, a rollover state and a mouse off state. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 saves, and I'm only going to save these 3 slices. So I'm going to start with the regular state. That's what you see here. I'm going to turn off just for a second the slices. You do to view clear slices, and that turns the slices off. And this is going to be the normal state. If I were to mouse over one of these buttons, say gallery, then it will look like that. The button will just disappear. Now I could do another thing where I could have 2 separate effects. I could have one bevel and emboss. And let me actually double click. I'm going to go to Layer, Effects. Now I've got the layer selected. I'm going to do Layer Style. Actually, I can't do another bevel emboss on that without copying this. So I'm going to copy this gallery back first. So here's my copy. And I'm going to select Layer Style, Bevel Emboss, but I'm going to change my bevel here. So originally I have a direction up. I'm going to change it to a direction down. So it looks like it's being pressed in. Alright. So I now have 2 gallery layers. Gallery, I'll just say gallery hover, and gallery back. So with gallery hover turned on, it looks like that. With gallery back, it looks like that. So I have 2 states. Now I'm going to do this for all 3 of these. I'm just going to copy them. You can do a shortcut here by double-clicking the effects on the effects layer, and it actually opens up your effects palette. And I'm just going to click down for each one of these. And what was the last one? Contact back, copy that layer, and then change the bevel emboss to down for all 3 of these. So I've got all 3 with it hover and regular state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn back my slices. I'm going to So I've turned back my slices back on so that you can see where they're going to be, and I'm going to save out 2 different versions of these. So let me save out the hover state first. These are when the buttons are pressed down. So I do File, Save for Web and Devices. Now what I'm going to be doing with this one is I'm going to be doing selected slices. So this is, I'm going to click on the slices, holding the Shift key down, and that selects all 3 slices. I click Save, And I'm going to call these nav to hyphen hover, because these are the hovers. Now, I got to find my website again. I lost that. It's my site. Now, don't forget, this is going to save inside the images folder, so I'm going to save this on the root level. But before I save it, I'm going to do images only and selected slices. Make sure you don't click all slices, because then I'm going to save every single slice in this file. Just selected slices. Remember, I shift-clicked all three of them. Click Save. Now, before I jump over to Dreamweaver, I'm going to turn this effect off for all three of these. And About Back Hover. So this is the normal state. I'm going to do File, Save for Web again, and I'm going to do the same procedure. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and select those three slices only. Click Save. Make sure images only, selected slices. This time I'm just going to say nav, I could say regular. I'll just say nav button, BTN. Again, it's going to save inside the images folder, so I'm going to save it outside at this point. Now, I've got my images, so I'm going to jump over into Dreamweaver now. I already have an old version of these, which I'm going to delete for now, because I'm going to replace them with my rollover images. And Dreamweaver gives us a really simple interface to do this, so I'm just going to delete these existing images as they are now. The cursor is now in my nav div, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my insert menu. I'm going down to image objects, rollover image. And Dreamweaver is going to do this next part for me. I click rollover image, and what I do is I search for the original image and the rollover image. Make sure preload image, rollover image is selected too, so that means that if somebody rolls over it, it's not going to take time to do another server call. So I'm going to browse for the original image, which was nav btn. It's in my images folder, and here are all 6 images. Nav btn is my first one, about me. So you can see everything. I'm going to click Open. I'm going to browse for the rollover state, which is nav hover, about me. See the two separate things there. Click Open. And then alternate text, about me. Click Go to URL about.html. Now, I warn you, this is probably not going to line up because I re-sliced this. My mistake. I should have saved my slices, but I didn't. So we're probably going to see a little offset there, but you'll get at least the idea of how this works. Actually, it's pretty close. So there's the About Me button. If I click it, you'll see that I have some extra stuff in here, including a little bit of JavaScript. You'll see that there's a little JavaScript added in my A tag. That is the inline JavaScript. However, with a rollover button, that includes some extra JavaScript that I didn't normally have. So Dreamweaver puts this in for us so that we don't have to worry about writing it out or anything. But we do have to have this script here to actually make these things work. It's quite a bit of code if you think about it. But on the inline part of it, there's just a little bit of stuff going on here. If I click Preview in Browser, let me just pull this over here. You'll now see that I have a rollover button, and it works when I mouse over it. It goes to the down state. Now I'm going to add all 3 buttons in here. So that's my first one. I'm just going to put my cursor after the close A tag, and I'm going to do this again 2 more times. Image objects, rollover image. I'm going to browse for the original image, which would be number 5 at this point. Nav button 5, it's gallery, and nav to hover 5. Alternate text, gallery, button, gallery.html for the URL. Click OK, and that just pops that right in there. And we just do this one more time for the last one. So insert, image objects, rollover image. This is the contact. So that is my site layout. Oops. Nav button 6. Nav hover 6. This is contact button and contact.html. And there you go, all 3 rollovers. I'm now just going to preview this in the browser. And now as I roll over, you'll see that each one responds to the hover state. So you can really think about some real creative applications for this. This, of course, is a very simple application. But when you have 2 separate states that you can design in Photoshop, then you can bring them in. The only requirements is that both states need to be the exact same size. And as you can see, they need to sort of line up side by side to make it work seamlessly so that it doesn't look a little awkward. And that does it for the Photoshop tutorials. Enjoy.